the beginning, we had a podcast to like talk about us and our latest coffee release, or like, oh, we do this, I don't know what. But then we realized it's nicer to invite coffee people.
Yeah, you had one with whom last week?
We had Ture from Ethiopia, Ture Waji.
Oh yeah.
We bought his Mesa Robe, and it's coming the new crop.
I would love to have a farm in Ethiopia because the raw material.
Yeah. So good.
If me as experimental scientific producer could get my hands on be like processing there, poof, that would be amazing.
How do you know about the logistics now in Ethiopia?
Well, that's different. Everything's complicated politically and everything. And I assume, and I've heard, there's like humongous washing stations. So people to process on their own farm, it's quite difficult, but I would love to do it.
Okay. Welcome to Standout Coffee. Welcome to the podcast. Please introduce yourself to start with.
Well, thank you. It's been a long dream for me to come to Stockholm. My father was a huge admirer of Swedish, but he was like, wow, this is out of this world.
Wow.
And for me, that has transmitted through my DNA. I'm Mauricio Shattah from Finca La Negrita in Colombia. And you've been our customers for a long time.
Yeah.
And you have been portraying our coffees worldwide. Many thanks to that. A lot of our customers, as I was telling you previously, they just buy it and they're in the United States or they're in Asia or in Australia. So many thanks for having me. And by the way, beautiful city.
It's nice, right? You were here in a good timing.
Yeah, beautiful.
We had a lot of heat like 2 weeks ago, and then it was like kind of rainy and like where's the summer kind of mode. But no, I think it's... But you flew here from Copenhagen?
No, I flew from Brussels because we were in Copenhagen for the World of Coffee. From there, we flew to Paris because we had some cuppings there. And then Brussels, well, actually, my wife wanted to visit Bruges. Then Brussels, we were in Antwerp. And, well, this was
the
must.
European
Stockholm.
tour.
Stockholm was a must.
How long are you staying here?
4 days.
4 days. And you came yesterday or?
Yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we just had a quick cupping, and later today we're gonna do a cupping with your coffees.
Yeah, well, I brought some babies.
That's amazing. And you
hopefully it's now almost 2 weeks that they have been roasted, so probably they're not their perfect best, but I think you will like them.
Yeah. And as you said, we had your beautiful coffees for a couple of years, and you have been up and running for 7 years now?
Well, yeah, the farm is 12 years old last month. And in production, 6 years and a half.
Yeah.
And basically the difference is that I'm a doctor, so I'm a scientist per se. And our approach to farming, agriculture, everything, even planting, has been done via experimentation. So we perform 2 to 3 experiments per week, processing. That we have been doing for 6.5 or 7 years. So we have developed more than 1,000 different coffee cupping profiles. And we are a lot into it's food. It's something that no one like really thinks it is, but it's something you put in your mouth and you actually drink. And for most of us, it's the first thing you drink in the morning. So when I go to farms and I see the coffee just on a concrete slab that has been walked by dogs, people, and cars and everything, that it's for me is impossible. So our approach is more into the food. People that work in the processing in our farm wear hairnets and face masks and gloves and everything. So that's the difference. That's a lot of scientific approach.
And for everyone who follows the big coffee competitions, I know you've been up there both winning and representing different
Yeah. Well,
champions?
probably because it's so differentiated.
Yeah.
It's a good coffee for competition, and basically, I love to share and for competitors to share our different approach, and it has shown successful. So if we can have more of the farmers work like us,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have better income, better livelihood for a lot of the farmers worldwide that are not having their best time.
No. And God, I have so many questions. But we briefly talked before we sat down about like the yield of a single coffee tree. That was like, I thought it was longer actually than you told me. And how's your take us through the farm a little bit? And you
Yeah, well, look, now with climate change, we have a lot planted at 2350 or 2350 meters above sea level. That's too high.
Is it too high?
Yeah, that's too high. Like I think 30 or 40 years ago, that was like, you're crazy, man.
Yeah.
You're
Up in the clouds.
Yeah, you come on. But due to climate change, high, it's been like 1.2 or 2. That temperature has risen since the beginning of the industrial area. And it is supposed that by year 2050, it will rise 1 or 1.5 more degrees Celsius. So we are going higher because coffee needs mild temperatures that at 1,200 or 1,300 meters above sea level are too hot. And but as high as we go, yields will go down. So in Colombia, commodity coffees in Quindío or something like that will produce almost a kilo of green coffee at altitudes 1,200 meters above sea level.
And then you're talking about per tree
per
year.
year. And our farm, 100 to 150 grams per tree per year. So obviously,
just put that in perspective.
That's 10% or 15% of the production.
One day when you will get your coffee in our box subscription, those 100 grams is almost what one tree produces for 1 year.
Yeah,
that's
and it gets worse because we're so picky that we select our coffees almost. If it's a natural, we will hand sort it out 80 to 100 times before it gets here. So first selection in the lot, where they're picking. Second selection while washing and floating and everything. And from there on, every day in the morning and in the afternoon, a specialized person will stir the coffees at the drying beds and hand pick whatever she thinks it's not up to standards. So, and then it goes to the mill, and then it will be hulled, and then again hand sorting. So we are taking out everything that we don't think it's up to standards. And well, that's a lot of coffee that we discard.
Yeah.
But those 100 grams that you have here should be the best possible coffees that we can produce.
Wow. And it really shines through. Like when you try the coffees, as you said, they are really tailor-made for competitions or for people like us working with what we call competition-style coffees. It's just a kind of a
differentiated,
probably
differentiated. And obviously here in differentiation, you need to talk about infused. It's a new wave, probably a fifth wave. They're here to stay. They're good to stay, but just for producers that are transparent and clear with what they're using, because some studies have been performed with gas chromatography, and they have found PG, propylene glycol. That's an artificial binding or solving agent that consumers should be aware of, and that should have the possibility to decide if they're drink that type of coffee or not. But it's because people think I'm just against infused. No, I'm just against the ones that are not crystal clear on their practices. But yeah, you need to differentiate because now we're gonna cup some of our geishas. We just cupped some Panama geishas, and they're like textbook geisha because their terroir and their DNA is more clear. And you will cup textbook geisha. Colombian geishas are different. They're a little bit more body, more aftertaste. They're different. So every terroir and every farm will have their own signature.
Tell us about, because I sadly missed the World of Coffee. Tell us about the pin.
Well,
T-shirt.
that's it's not our signature.
No.
I saw a post, George Howell, he posted at the beginning of April after Chicago, the pin, the infused slashed or whatever. And that was, we were leaving that day to Busan with my wife, and I told her, look. So we made it just 10 or 12.
Yeah.
But as soon as the fair opened, the World of Coffee opened in Busan, everyone, I want. So now for Copenhagen, we brought like 160, and we brought T-shirts, and we had a lot of interviews and things. So it is like now there's a hashtag not infused coffee team, and their team is infused coffee team. But it's I hope it stays in the friendly area, and I personally hate them, not the people, but the coffees, because they're killing the DNA. And coffee is so beautiful that you don't need to extreme makeover it, but it's here to stay. And as long as people like my good friend Felipe Arcila from CoffeeNet, he's upfront. This is tangerine, this is canela, this is cinnamon, whatever. Perfect.
Then
you can decide.
I think the big problem is, as you say, like as long as people are being transparent, and when we get samples that we kind of like, is this like just, because if you just add like 2% or whatever, then it's getting hard, and then it's getting like really problematic, because then people, I wouldn't say I'm like a super good cupper, but I've been working full time with this for 15 years, and I've been cupping a lot of coffees. And when you are like, is this or is this not? Then it could still taste very good, but I think it's something when it's like almost hidden, then it's like problematic.
Yeah, but the people get better on what they do.
I
think we're better in coffee producers than we were 4 or 5 years before. So yeah, the first. I had the opportunity, and I've been roaster for the Cup of Excellence in Colombia for 5 years ago. So I had the opportunity to see the evolution of infused. The first one was like, come on. And it sold quite good.
Of course.
But then they acknowledged that much infusion with artificial flavoring or co-fermenting with tangerine juice or whatever would be so into it that they needed to like obscure it, if you may say. So now it's difficult for you as well. 15 years cupping, wow, you've had your tongue around. But when they just use a small amount, but that is a really, really important differentiating point when you're competing.
Yes.
In Busan, 6 first baristas, all of them were using infused coffees. All of them. So, and a lot of clean producers from Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, we were left behind because when you are brewing or when you are producing espresso and you tell the judges this tastes like tangerine and everyone is tangerine, that's an advantage.
Of course.
Yeah. So, but don't get me wrong. They should have their own scenario. That's all. What we're fighting for. It's okay. You have your competition there, and we have ours here. We are
And in
competing here.
competition, how if someone's telling you this is not infused, w- how should we, as a judge now, I'm judging in Sweden and starting to judge more, like, you need to trust the barista.
Yeah.
And
But
that's so
sometimes,
hard.
look, you know what happened recently in Panama with infusion? Well, they had, this is the, you know, they have the Sina Gate in Costa Rica. This is the Panama Gate. Because in the recent BOP, they had a producer who is someone we know, friend, a brother of our really good friend and partner, and he was excluded from the BOP because they found that coffee was infused. So look, Panama is crystal clear. We don't want that here. We are good with what we have been doing for years and years, and we're really successful. Okay? So if you want to infuse coffees, not here. So everyone will have their own way, but most of the times, but this comes to that this guy is still telling people that he did not infuse coffees, and there's witness that they did it. Okay, so sometimes for the even for the barista, he will go in blindfolded because he doesn't know that it is infused. Sometimes, most of the time, they will know. Okay, but good for the barista, they're getting a competitive advantage. Good, perfect.
Yeah. Talking about processes, for those who won't make it tonight, you had like your bag of samples. You had like as you call them, the babies. What will people be missing out on in terms of varieties, but also your processing philosophy?
Yeah, well, look, this is washed, this is natural, okay? So this is trillions of possibilities. That's what we work on. Right now we have 37 different varieties planted, in production around 20. I think we have here like 8 or 9 or 10, and we will cup semi-washed, semi-washed, honeys, and naturals. And from there, coming back to infusion, we are co-fermenting. That's different with koji. We'll cup some koji coffees here. But as we have developed koji fermentation, it's not pickles or kimchi. If you have had kimchi from South Korea, no, this is clearer. So as we use different yeast strains to ferment, we're getting different profiles, but still the DNA will be there. So I think it's 6, 7 different varieties and at least 7 different processes.
That's cool. Coming from as you said, like a doctor's background, what's your biggest benefits? What can you really like?
Yeah, scientific. It's scientific approach. Yeah. So we tabulate everything, and when we perform a new experiment, we follow through as much as we can the scientific method. We're just changing one variable. Everything else will be the same. Our processing facilities is climate control and dark room, everything. Like, we try to make everything standardized. So when we change a variable, you can see the actual effect on changing that variable. So probably it's that. And I've been helping farmers in Colombia, especially low-income farmers. I have some presentations, and I go deep in the jungle, and as I'm telling them, just by being more careful. My first presentation was called "Oiga, lávese las manos." Please wash your hands. With that, I really showed people that with meticulously washing coffee and being careful with wherever you're working with the coffee and cleaning it and everything, that will give you a couple of points in cupping, and it was that. So it's just, come on, it's food. It's something that and microorganisms are out there,
Yeah.
you should keep them out of the fermentation, or you want them in to get different flavors. Yeah.
And do they understand? Is it easy for them to like grasp it and
Yes,
actually in
yes.
the end maybe get like
You
more
have
money?
here one of my students.
Oh,
You have
Yeah.
actually roasted one of my students.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they actually understand. It's not easy to get them through their skulls,
no,
but at least some of them will get it. And look, they're competition coffees.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And what will the future bring? Because I don't know. Is it a secret?
No, it's not.
So what will happen in the future for?
Well, we have the first farm, La Negrita
Yeah.
1.0,
Yeah.
is in Tolima, in the central part of Colombia. Now we bought and we have planted already at the next farm. It's at Genoa, Quindío.
Mhm.
That's on the other part of the mountain. So we have 3 different mountain ranges. This is Central Mountain Range. La Negrita 1.0 is at the eastern part, and now we are at the western part. So these 2 different terroirs, and we have 2 farms that will start production between this year and the next one in Los Pozos in Panama, in association with Ratibor Harman and his wife Tessie, and Mil Cumbres with Mario Fonseca. So we will be in production, in good production next year in both parts, in Genoa and in Panama.
I think it's so interesting because to grow coffee is one thing and to process coffee is another thing. And if you come to a place that is like they grew coffee, but they don't really know how to process, I think with your knowledge and what I see a lot of people do, and we saw it early when we were traveling a lot in Panama with like the core group of the ones in Bouquet, they were sharing so much knowledge early because they realized we are onto something here, and I think the world needs more than we can handle. So I think also in Colombia we see so much good coffees coming out now. I think I think they're probably for a long time been grown very well, but then it's like the last, or not the last part, but how you process, how you, as you say, like just wash your hands kind of thing. And we get a lot of good coffees in from Colombia at the moment, and we have been like for the last year, as I think sometimes like very heavy on Colombian coffees. We have buyers in especially Asia. It's like, what's happening? So I think it's amazing that you're also going into Panama, because it's I think everyone needs.
Well,
more.
it has been proven successful because we have helped 2 farms in Panama. Now one of those has been finalist and top of the notch in BOP.
Yeah.
And the other one we started advising by the end of last year and this year, and it showed. The cupping improved, and we sold out immediately. And I think that the best terroir is in Panama.
In the world?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I don't know
Right,
Ethiopia.
right.
I don't know Kenya. Probably the best one is
Yeah.
Ethiopia,
Yeah.
obviously. But Panama is amazing. It's just a tiny land strip, and you get the influence of both Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Ocean. During the day, you will see the fog moving in from one, and then it moves out, and the other one moves in.
Yeah.
If you've been
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
you've witnessed it.
Yeah.
So the best terroir probably in the world is Panama, and it shows. But Colombia has the thing with Colombia is so big that you have millions of possibilities in terroir and climate and everything. It's amazing. It's within our own farm. As I was telling you, we have a geisha lot that we planted 6 years ago, and it just produced 500 grams of green coffee in 6 years. And the trees remain like 1.2 meters tall when geisha trees are really tall. Because within the same lot, within the same farm, you get infinite possibilities in terroir, climate, and wind, and rainfall, and everything. So... and as I was telling you, I would love to have a farm in Ethiopia. So I would love to plant coffees everywhere
Yeah.
and processed coffees everywhere.
Yeah, maybe you should catch up with Ture Vaji, who was here last week.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be amazing. So thing is, like, the camera can only record for 30 minutes. Then you have
Perfect.
to. So I think, have we missed anything, or is this? I think this is a good. How do people find you?
No, there's just one important issue to get into: sustainability. That's our next. No, it has been for 2 years now. We're like devoting the same energy,
Yeah.
mind work and everything on processing than on sustainability. Now we have circular economy. We reprocess the water that we use. Fertilization, we are using our own organic residues to produce our own fertilizers. So people should get into that. No more deforestation, agroforestry with some canopy or some shadow. That's the next step, because as we started to speak earlier, more soon than later, coffee will tend to disappear.
Yeah.
And those 2, 3, 4, 5 billion cups per day will shrink to less than a billion, and then it will be more expensive than having a Bugatti or something, because a cup of coffee will be $40, $50, $60.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would like to witness in my life is that the coffee value within the coffee value chain shifts a little bit, or much more, towards producers. We need producers to make more money, at least the minimum income, because in Colombia, at least less than 55%, more than 55% of the coffee producers are below the line of poverty. That's not correct.
Yeah.
So we need to shift some of this value and actual income more to the producers, but we need to make sure that it goes to them.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure that they will use it for livelihood and to improve their processes, because most of the time they will buy a 60-inch flat screen TV to watch Colombia games or now the Eurocopa.
Yeah.
But that's really important for people to be aware that, I should strongly suggest coffee people, to read Jeffrey Sachs, Nobel Prize winner. I was there today at the Nobel Museum. That's the first thing I did as soon as I got to Stockholm. And we were in a presentation that he had in Medellin 4 or 5 years ago, and he actually had these numbers all over the place, and he told us that 1 cent per cup worldwide that goes back to producers, that will change their lives. That's quite difficult, and he told us, look, that's impossible. But for us, within the chain value of coffee, let's try to shift a little bit of the money for the producers, make sure that they get it, and help them improve their income, because when this generation dies, the new generation will actually end up selling the land, and coffee production will actually probably shrink a lot.
And how should you do that?
Oh, that's difficult, but probably people like yourselves. I'm gonna get in some trouble here, but middle guys, we should big brokers, because brokers are actually buying coffee at the sea market price for $2 whatever, and the pound will be end up sold in a coffee shop or whatever, 15, 20, and if you're actually selling cup of coffees, that will be sold around $100. So it started at $1.50, and it ended up $150. That's just commercial coffee. Okay, let's keep and try to get more of these producers into specialty, because that changes their life. But it's basically everyone be aware of it, even and the end consumer, even people having a cappuccino or a really good coffee, that they are like happy or they're proud that at least 1 or 2% of what they're paying for a beverage will actually go back to the producer. Yeah.
So that's a big challenge, but you're doing your best. You are, did you say, in the board of the Colombian Coffee Association?
Yeah, I'm the president for
Yeah.
the Colombia Specialty Coffee Association, and we are proud that we have held 7 times the Cup of Excellence, and through that we have helped at least 1,000 producers.
Yeah.
That's nothing. We have 550,000 coffee producers in Colombia, but we have helped 1,000. Wow,
Yeah.
that's something. Okay,
Yeah.
but so we have been involved in trying to make their life better. But as I have witnessed in Colombia, the majority of exporters, they pay just market price to the producer. And a lot of these new exporters that have been gaining a lot of, like, biting through the share of the market is because they're paying higher prices to the producer. Yeah. But they're still buying. Some people are buying at $2 or $3 a pound, then adding something, whatever, infusing or just the name, blah, blah, and selling out at $20.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, we can go on forever about this.
No.
But it's so interesting to have you here. And as I mentioned, there was a couple of people that said they want to show up, and they were like amazed that you were here. It's a big honor. How do people find you? Is it mostly like through us, or like people like us, or
Yeah, we have our Instagram.
Yeah.
At Finca La Negrita or at Mauricio Shattah. My WhatsApp number is 57-310-870-6591. We are now direct trading ourselves.
That's interesting.
Specifically because of that.
Yes.
Because we wanted we actually realized that brokers were making more money than us. That's not fair because, for example, we had Fenomeno El Niño December, January, and February. So the crop will be not that good for most of the farmers by the end of the year. So whatever they are able to sell, that will be the price. And the broker will get a big chunk. So now we're direct trading ourselves. Yeah.
And how can people buy like small quantities, or do they still like to buy like?
Yeah, we vacuum pack 24K boxes.
Yeah.
212K. I see some of them here.
Yeah.
That's like the minimum. You can match 212 from Geisha or whatever, and the other one. Yeah, but that's like the easiest way to ship. And like less than that, it's too complicated to export and to get sure that it gets right to you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so I quickly show you around. I think we're gonna have a quick break. I don't know if you need any more coffee. We can make that. Otherwise, we will set up the cupping rights.
The cupping, yes, we're ready. Hope you enjoy the cupping. For those of you that will come, really good, or else we will enjoy the cupping. But I know we didn't have this planned, so it's an honor and a pleasure and everything for me to be here with my lovely wife, La Negrita, because it's always important for trip origins to become true, because you need to go to the farm and experience what a coffee production is all about. You can transmit that to your customers here in Europe or Asia or United States, but it's also really good for us as producers to come. Origin comes to you, because then you can get a hold of what a producer thinks and how he talks about his coffee and everything. So really, really honored and really thankful for you to having us here.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.